Have you ever wondered why some grandparents just seem naturally joyful, always smiling, present in the moment and full of life, while others struggle with bitterness or constant disappointment? It's not money. It's not luck. It's something deeper. At the 60-plus chapter, we're exploring why some grandparents are truly happier than others, and the answer has little to do with what's in the bank. In fact, research from Harvard's decades-long study of adult development reveals that the happiest people in old age are those who have strong, meaningful relationships. Not just casual friendships, but deep connections with their children, their grandkids, their community, or even themselves. Grandparents who feel connected to their families often describe a sense of purpose that money can't buy. Being present in a grandchild's life, no matter how small the role, provides emotional fulfillment that goes beyond material gain. But here's the interesting part. Some of the happiest grandparents aren't necessarily the ones who see their grandkids every day. They're the ones who feel emotionally close, appreciated, and respected. Happiness isn't about frequency. It's about quality. Emotional closeness and open communication create warmth that sustains even across long distances. Then there are the ones who stay socially active outside their families. Seniors who engage in community activities, attend church groups, book clubs, or local volunteering efforts often report higher satisfaction. Why? Because humans are wired for connection, and feeling part of something, anything, feeds the spirit. Purpose is another powerful factor. Happiness in old age often comes from having something to wake up for. Some grandparents find this in caring for pets, maintaining a garden, writing a memoir, or helping at the local food pantry. It doesn't have to be grand. It just has to matter to you. Psychologists refer to this as eudaimonic well-being, which is the happiness that comes from having purpose, versus hedonic well-being, which comes from pleasure. Eudaimonic joy lasts longer. It's deeper, and it's what makes someone glow even when life isn't perfect. For example, Linda, 72, a retired nurse in Ohio, says her happiest days are when she's volunteering to teach first aid classes at her local community center. She's not paid for it, but she lights up every time she walks into the building because she feels needed, respected, and purposeful. Compare that with someone who may have more money but lacks community or emotional connection, and you'll see how big the difference really is. Then comes adaptability. The happiest grandparents are not the ones with perfect lives, but the ones who learn to bend without breaking. They adjust when family dynamics shift. They accept when children move far away. They choose peace over control. A concept called psychological flexibility, explored in many geriatric mental health studies, shows that seniors who accept life's changes with grace tend to be more emotionally resilient and report fewer symptoms of depression. Being able to say, "This is not what I expected, but I'm going to find joy anyway," is a superpower. Health plays a role too, but not in the way you think. While physical health is important, it's how one relates to their health that often determines happiness. For example, two grandparents may both have arthritis, but the one who continues walking each morning and focuses on what they can do, instead of what they've lost, is often the one who remains upbeat. A positive attitude, even in the face of pain, changes everything. Dr. Laura Carstensen, from Stanford Center on Longevity, notes that as people age, they often experience what's called the positivity effect, where they focus more on emotionally meaningful events and filter out negativity. But this effect is strongest in those who have built emotional awareness over time, meaning you train yourself to see good, and that leads to daily joy. Lastly, faith and spirituality offer powerful support for many. Whether it's formal religion, personal prayer, or simply a connection to nature, many happy grandparents say they feel part of something bigger. It helps them find peace in grief, hope in quiet days, and purpose beyond the physical. So what truly makes some grandparents happier than others? It's not about how much they own, but how deeply they love, how often they connect, how open they are to change, and how much meaning they create in their days. These grandparents invest in relationships, stay active in their minds and bodies, seek out laughter, and give themselves permission to grow. They choose not to let their age define their happiness. Now that we've uncovered the emotional and psychological roots of why some grandparents are truly happier than others, let's explore the real-world habits and choices that make all the difference, and how you can bring them into your life, starting today. One of the most powerful practices is what researchers call daily micro-interactions. These are tiny, positive exchanges throughout the day, like chatting with the cashier at the grocery store, smiling at someone during a walk, or sending a quick text to a loved one. They may seem small, but according to studies from the University of Michigan and UCLA, people who regularly engage in these quick, positive exchanges report greater levels of happiness and resilience, especially in later life. Take the story of Richard, a 75-year-old grandfather in Oregon, who makes it a point to walk to the local cafe each morning, not just for the coffee but for the friendly greetings and simple conversations he shares with staff and neighbors. He says those few moments of warmth energize him for the rest of the day. Then, there's the habit of gratitude, a simple daily ritual of writing down 3 things you're thankful for, even if it's just the sunshine today, a good night's sleep, or my favorite song on the radio, can shift your mindset over time. Neuroscientists at UC Berkeley found that seniors who practiced gratitude journaling experienced lower blood pressure, better sleep, and improved emotional well-being. Many of the happiest grandparents make this a part of their morning or bedtime routine, anchoring themselves in the positive rather than the unknown. And speaking of the unknown, let's talk about letting go of regrets, because this too is a major difference between happy and unhappy grandparents. Everyone has regrets, but the happiest seniors choose to forgive themselves. They accept what they cannot change, make peace with the past, and allow themselves to enjoy what's still here. This isn't denial, it's wisdom. It's choosing not to live in reverse. Mary, a 68-year-old grandmother in Georgia, struggled for years with guilt about not being around more when her kids were young due to her job. But instead of letting that define her role as a grandmother, she chose to be present now, reading bedtime stories over FaceTime, mailing postcards weekly, and creating new memories. That decision to engage in the present made her not just happier, but more connected to her family than ever. Another key habit: personal rituals of joy. The happiest grandparents often have small personal rituals that bring them delight. It might be sipping tea on the porch each morning, tending to a rose garden, doing a puzzle every afternoon, or listening to a favorite radio show. These habits create rhythm and joy creates energy. They also give structure to a life that may otherwise feel too quiet or unstructured. One example is Calvin, age 73, who bakes a new kind of bread every Sunday and delivers it to neighbors. It's a small act, but it brings him purpose, interaction, and joy. Now let's talk about tech. Not always a favorite topic for older generations, but one that can make a huge difference. Happy grandparents don't resist all technology. They adapt to what helps them connect. Whether it's learning how to use Zoom to see grandkids, or joining a Facebook group for retired veterans, or watching YouTube tutorials to explore painting or travel ideas, tech, when used intentionally, becomes a bridge instead of a barrier. And it's easier than ever to learn. Many libraries and senior centers offer tech help sessions, and sites like Cyber Seniors or Senior Planet offer step-by-step support. And don't worry if you're late to the game, it's never too late to learn. Emotional support matters too. The happiest grandparents don't shy away from getting help when they need it. Whether it's talking to a pastor, attending a grief support group, or seeking a mental health counselor online, they understand that asking for help is a strength, not a weakness. In fact, according to the National Council on Aging, older adults who have regular emotional check-ins, through friends, groups, or professionals, report higher satisfaction and lower levels of stress. It's okay to feel lonely sometimes, but it's not okay to think you have to face everything alone. Finally, happy grandparents know that aging is not a time of fading. It's a time of refining. They see their wrinkles as wisdom lines, their quiet mornings as sacred, their stories as legacies. They spend less time comparing and more time savoring. Now that we understand the habits, mindset, and emotional choices that shape joyful grandparents, let's shift into the practical. What can you actually start doing this week to feel that happiness more deeply? Let's begin with a simple but powerful exercise. Write down one small win at the end of each day. It could be that you made a healthy meal, smiled at someone during your walk, finished a book chapter, or simply took time to rest. Celebrating small victories helps your brain build confidence and joy. And over time, these little wins begin to create momentum. Then there's goal setting. Yes, even in your 60s, 70s, and beyond, setting goals gives your days shape. But instead of setting big, stressful goals, think of small, meaningful ones. Maybe your goal this week is to call an old friend, learn to use voice to text on your phone, or try a new recipe. These kinds of goals are personal, achievable, and life-enhancing. Joyful grandparents often wake up knowing they're working toward something, even something small, and that's where so much of their light comes from. Another important action is to set boundaries that protect your peace. A lot of unhappiness later in life comes from overgiving, from feeling obligated to say yes to everything, especially with family. But happy grandparents know that love doesn't mean self-sacrifice. They say no when they need rest. They say yes to themselves. They create emotional balance by giving without draining themselves. If you've ever felt exhausted after a family visit, take it as a sign, not of guilt, but of a need to recharge. Your energy matters, and it's okay to protect it. One beautiful way to uplift yourself is through intentional spaces. Look around your home. Does it bring you peace? You don't need a mansion to feel joy in your environment. One joyful grandmother we spoke with, Darlene, age 69, has a small one-bedroom apartment, but she's turned it into a sanctuary. She keeps only what brings her joy. Soft lighting, family photos, her favorite chair by the window, a cozy blanket, and a shelf of poetry. Her home, though modest, feels like a place where joy lives. You can do the same. Add a few plants. Light a candle with a scent you love. Display something handmade by a grandchild. Let your space reflect your warmth and peace. Community also plays a huge role in sustained joy. We've talked about this, but let's dig deeper. The happiest grandparents often create or join small circles of belonging. This might be a walking group, a prayer circle, a senior yoga class, or even a virtual community. For example, Arthur, age 74, joined a local community storytelling circle that meets every other Saturday. Each session, members share one real story from their lives, funny, painful, or profound, and those stories build bridges between them. He says those 2 hours every other week are what keep his heart open. He found his tribe not through family, but through story. Another thing joyful grandparents do? They laugh. Often, and not just at jokes. They laugh at themselves. They find humor in everyday life. They watch old comedies. They tell silly stories to their grandkids. They choose lightness whenever possible. Because laughter is medicine. It lowers blood pressure, boosts immunity, and releases feel-good hormones. Happy grandparents don't wait for life to be perfect to laugh. They choose laughter to make life better. One final action step is to revisit and rewrite your personal story. The happiest elders often carry painful pasts, losses, failures, missed opportunities. But what sets them apart is how they frame those stories. They see strength in their survival. They look back and say, "That made me who I am." You can do the same. Take an hour this week to write a letter to your younger self. Tell that version of you what you've learned. Share what matters now. Forgive what needs forgiving. This kind of reflection not only heals, it empowers. It reminds you that your life has been meaningful, even in the messy parts. Because it has. You've come this far for a reason. So as conclusion, what truly makes some grandparents happier than others? Why it's not money, not big homes or constant family gatherings, but rather the quiet choices, the inner mindset, the relationships we nurture, and the love we extend to ourselves. It's in the way we choose peace over control, joy over perfection, connection over isolation. It's in showing up for our days with presence, even when they're quiet. The happiest grandparents have built habits around gratitude, self-respect, creativity, forgiveness, and community. They know that aging is not about fading away. It's about refining, deepening, becoming. And maybe you're watching this video thinking, well, I'm not there yet. I still struggle. I still feel alone. That's okay. There's no finish line here. Happiness in your 60s, 70s, and beyond isn't a destination. It's a rhythm you choose to return to, a mindset you gently practice. One walk at a time, one laugh at a time, one connection at a time. The beauty is that it's never too late to start. Whether you're surrounded by grandchildren or live across the country from them, whether you're full of health or working through limitations, whether you're partnered or alone, your joy is still yours to claim. This chapter of your life holds as much meaning, as much beauty, as any before it. Maybe even more. Because now, you get to live without the rush. You get to see more clearly. You get to love more honestly. You get to be the version of yourself that all those earlier years were building toward. So choose to be the grandparent who glows. Not from wealth, but from warmth. Who gives, not from excess, but from empathy. Who laughs, not because everything's perfect, but because they've learned joy is stronger than struggle. Your life still has so much to offer. And in every story we tell here at the 60+ chapter, that is our promise to you. At the 60+ chapter, we believe in creating a life you love, mainly after 60+ age where not much people and supports are with you. Every story we share is meant to bring hope, knowledge, and tools that help you live better, not just longer. We are here for you, and we'll keep bringing you real stories, practical tips, and trusted advice every day. Don't keep this to yourself. Share this video with someone who needs to listen, or if it simply gave you hope, please take a moment right now to click subscribe. It costs you nothing, but it means everything to us. It helps us reach more people like you, and it keeps the 60+ chapter channel going strong. Let's grow this beautiful community together. One subscriber, one story, and one life-changing message every day.